Hey, let's dive right into it. You've had two other obviously high-profile campaigns for U.S. Senate in 2018, for president in 2020. Some political observers, I know you probably think the same thing. You've got to win this time. Clearly, you wanted to win the other two as well. But what was the point, Congressman, where you decided, okay, I am getting in? What was the turning point you saw happen in this state where you said, I'm running for governor?
It's for me, it's really about listening to people in this state and hearing what they want to do and what their expectations are, and thinking through how I can best serve them and be part of something that would be successful for Texas. And so I made the decision to run for governor and to run to see if we can't help bring the people of Texas together and get focused on the big things that most of us want to work on and see Texas achieve. Like, great example is making sure that the best jobs in America are being created here in Texas, or that our kids, and Amy and I have three of them in the El Paso public schools, that our kids can count on a world-class education, or that we make progress on things that most of us will agree on, like expanding Medicaid so that everyone can see a doctor and be well enough to reach their full potential. So that's the positive vision that we, the people of Texas, have. And I think it gets us past the small vision and divisive politics of Greg Abbott that, has Texas focused on which middle school girls can play which sports, or this abortion ban that includes a $10,000 bounty on the heads of Texas women, or these permitless gun laws that police chiefs across the state begged the governor not to sign because it allows any Texan without a background check or any training whatsoever to carry a loaded weapon in public. We want to get back to the big things: jobs, schools, the ability to see a doctor, and we want to be able to count on our government. When you flick the light switch, the lights should turn on, the heat should run, the water should be able to flow, and we need the competence and the vision and the focus on the people of Texas. And I think that's what together we can do.
Congressman, you ticked off some of the controversial things there that have been tied to Governor Abbott here in the past several months. A lot of people in your party have been antsy about this. They've been on pins and needles saying, hey, we're missing the chance to go on the attack here with some of these issues. We need a candidate. What was it that made you wait until now to say, I'm in this?
I don't know that there was a matter of waiting. I think it's more a function of making sure that we do this right, and that we do this with and for and by the people of Texas. So putting the team together, ensuring that we're ready for this. And then this is personal, but really important to me. We've got three little kids in this house, and we've got a great family that has just spent, like probably your family and families across the state, the better part of the last 2 years, a really tough 2 years together. And I wanted to make sure that all of us were good with doing that. And so we're at a point where we can run this campaign and run it well and run it for the right reasons. And we should remember there's almost a full year yet to go. And so there is plenty of time to make the case, and plenty of time to bring people together, and plenty of good people out there who want to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to it. This is the right time.
Congressman, let's go back to your last campaign, 2020, the presidential campaign, and everyone remembers, a lot of people remember, I don't know if everyone does, but a lot of people in this state remember the comment you made about guns, saying, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. For context for our listeners, the comment came right after the El Paso shooting at the Walmart there off of Interstate 10. You told me before, Congressman, you do not regret making that comment. So if elected, what kind of changes to gun laws would you like to see here in Texas?
I think most of us in Texas agree that we shouldn't have to worry about our family members or our friends or neighbors being shot up with weapons that were designed for use on a battlefield. And I also think most of us agree that the extreme gun laws that Abbott has signed, including a permitless carry bill that would allow anyone to carry a firearm, including the 35,000 Texans who'd been denied a license to carry, or had had their license to carry revoked, or the tens of thousands more who knew better than to request one because law enforcement would have probably denied it. They know that we can't have those kind of extreme policies. So let's end permitless carry. Let's move forward with the things that most of us can agree on, like a universal background check or an extreme risk protection order. Or my friend Rhonda Hart, who lost her daughter in the Santa Fe high school shooting, she recommends that we have safe storage laws in our state. We are a proud gun-owning people here in Texas. And like most of my fellow Texans, I grew up in a household with guns. And I grew up learning the responsibility of owning and using a firearm. In my case, from my great uncle Raymond, who was an El Paso County Sheriff's deputy and jail captain. He's the one who taught us how to shoot. So let's use that knowledge and that experience and make sure that we protect the Second Amendment and also protect the lives of our fellow Texans. I think we can do that. I know we can do that.
Even before you decided to run, you've probably seen this. Governor Abbott put out this sort of cartoonish looking video, taking aim at you. And one of the things in there was that he was trying to tie you to the Green New Deal. And I'm just curious what you would say about a Beto O'Rourke administration to all of the people who are working in oil and natural gas in this state or who are touched by that.
My administration will be focused on protecting jobs and increasing the number of high-paying, high-value, high-skilled jobs in the state of Texas. And that begins with our energy industry. Those oil and gas workers in this state, whether they're in South Texas or closer to where I am in West Texas, whether they're working out of Houston, Texas, they've helped to make the country energy independent from the rest of the world. They literally are helping to power our lives. And they've been the source of so much innovation and ingenuity that has created so much wealth and opportunity in Texas. And I want to make sure that we continue to protect that. In fact, I want to build on that and make sure that as more of the world turns to renewable energy sources, that we find those here in Texas and we capitalize on the experience and expertise of our energy workers in Texas to lead that next revolution in hydrogen energy, geothermal, in wind, and in solar. And I want to make the central focus first and always jobs. The ability to have a great job that pays well and gives us all the sense of purpose that we're looking for. We should continue to be the global energy leader. And I will make sure that's a priority if I'm elected governor.
Congressman, Governor Abbott has $55 million cash on hand. Let's say he is the Republican nominee for governor you go up against. You, though, are a proven fundraiser, obviously. Two questions here. What do you expect this race might cost campaign-wise? And secondly, how do you intend to go about it? Because in 2018, you really made a name for going to all 254 counties. So what will the race cost, and how do you plan to attack it?
It's a good question. I mean, none of us know for sure, but it will likely be one of the most expensive gubernatorial races, certainly in Texas history and maybe throughout the country. We are going to really depend on donors from across the state who can chip in $5, $10, $15. And we have a website that we just stood up, betofortexas.com. Folks are welcome to go there and join us. But I'll tell you, to answer your second question, because I think that gets at the heart of the strategy to win, it will not be money alone, and it probably won't be money primarily that will win this race. It's going to be the people of Texas. In 2018, when we went everywhere, wrote nobody off, took no one for granted, brought everybody in, we also helped to produce the largest voter turnout in the midterm since 1970 and saw extraordinary increases in, for example, young voter turnout, up 500% from the 2014 midterm. And the only way you do that, you can't spend enough money to make that happen. The only way you can help to do that is to show up and meet people where they are and make sure that no one is looked over or forgotten and everyone counts. The other thing is we've got to trust our fellow Texans. Abbott has shown that he doesn't trust his state. He doesn't trust women to make their own decisions about their bodies. He doesn't trust police chiefs on the permitless carry law. He doesn't trust voters, and so he's changed the terms and rules of our elections. And he doesn't trust local communities. Look at the county judges who tried to require masks or protect the public health in a pandemic that has cost the lives of 72,000 of our fellow Texans. He prevented them from doing the right thing. He prevented school districts and principals and classroom teachers from protecting the lives of those children in their care. And as of September, Texas led the nation in childhood COVID deaths. That's a direct result of Abbott not listening to and trusting the people of Texas. So in this campaign, I will demonstrate that by showing up, listening, and trusting. And as governor, I will make sure that our solutions that we implement, we work on together. And that begins by listening to people where they are in their communities. So
that's every county again? I'm sorry, Congressman. Are you going to every county again? It sounds like you're going to hit every county.
Yeah, I'm going to every single part of this state. And you cannot be too big city. You can't be too rural. You can't be too red. You can't be too blue for me and for this campaign. It's going to take all of us to win. And it's going to take all of us to get Texas on the right track.
I was going to ask you, how hard is it, though, to get enough people to the polls? I mean, we haven't elected a Democrat for governor here in more than 30 years in the state of Texas. And now you also have to deal with the changes that have come about because Republicans have pushed forward these tough new voting restrictions here in this state. How do you get enough people to get over the finish line with this?
I trust Texas and I trust the people of Texas. And there are enough of us out there to make the change in Texas that we need. And I'll give you an example. In 2020, arguably the most important election in our lifetime, and certainly in the life of Texas, there were 7 million eligible Texans who did not cast a ballot. Now, for some of them, it was going to be because of the restrictions in place that functionally prevented them from participating. But for others, I think we need to acknowledge they weren't given a compelling reason to participate in that election and to help decide the outcome. And so by going everywhere and keeping the focus on the big things, on jobs, on schools, on healthcare, and getting past the divisive culture war issues that Greg Abbott and those in the legislature that he works with are focused on, like the books in the library or the athletic teams that your daughter can play for. If we can get past that stuff and get back to the things that bring us together, then we will also be able to transcend these divisions and give people a reason to vote. I want to listen to folks and reflect back what is most important to them in this campaign. I think that's how we bring them in. And then there are also a lot of voters out there who are probably rethinking their preferences in light of the extremism that they've seen from Abbott and the legislature over this last year. So many people who cannot believe what Texas is doing when it comes to reproductive health care, or when it comes to guns, or when it comes to the curriculum in our schools. They want to be proud of this state. They want to be proud of the decisions that our state is making. And I want to make sure as governor, we give everyone the ability to do that.
If elected governor, it's still likely you'd have to work with the Republican legislature, like you just mentioned. How could you effectively do that, though, Congressman, without spiraling Texas down into the mess that we see D.C. is in with all that gridlock?
I'm so glad you asked this. I was lucky enough to serve on the El Paso City Council for 6 years, a nonpartisan position. We didn't have D's or R's next to our name. And our sole focus was the community of El Paso and making this city better and listening to our constituents and delivering for them. And we were able to do that. I spent 6 years in Congress, one of the great honors of my life, serving on the Veterans Affairs Committee and going to work for those who put their lives on the line for this country. Jason, every single one of those years that I was in Congress, I was in the minority with the Republican majority. So I could either give up or I could get to work. And that's what I did. I found the common ground. Proposed legislation, for example, to extend greater mental health care benefits to veterans who were dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury or the other signature wounds and conditions of service to this country. And I had to compromise on that bill a little bit to get Republican support, but we got that done. We got it passed in the House, a version passed in the Senate, and ultimately had it signed into law by President Trump, someone with whom I agree on almost nothing, but on this, we could find enough agreement to get the job done for those that we wanted to serve. I want to bring that same approach as governor in working with the legislature, Republicans and Democrats alike. I know that both parties want to see us do better on jobs, want to see us do better on schools, and want to see us do better on healthcare. For example, the Medicaid expansion bill that was introduced by Representative Julie Johnson had Republican co-sponsorship and support because they know that Texas has left $100 billion on the table over the last 10 years. It could have been used to get healthcare and, importantly, reduce property tax burden for the local property homeowner, because as we have more uncompensated care in this state, the homeowner is getting squeezed. Let's bring that money in and make sure that we take care of everybody in the state. These are common sense, common ground positions that I think we can build agreement on and make progress on.
I'm going to close this out on a lighter note here, Congressman, because a lot of people have just been obsessing about this. People of all political stripes, as they play this game of who's going to run. And your name, of course, has been floating out there. And so has Matthew McConaughey's. And so I've got to ask, did you all talk? Was there a discussion? Who's going to go? Who's going to do it?
No, I haven't spoken to him in quite a while. But let me say this. When we had that awful shooting in El Paso in 2019, Matthew McConaughey and his wife and his family came to our community to lend their support. After the winter storm and the failure of our power grid, he helped to raise money for the people of this state. This is someone who loves Texas and has done a lot of great work for this state. So I just, sometimes people will create drama or friction where none exists. I just want to say that, whatever Matthew decides to do, I'm sure he will do for the best interests of Texas. But what I've got to focus on is what I'm able to do and how I can be, best able to support and serve the people of this state. And for me, that is making this decision to run in the right way, to try to bring people together and to serve everyone, all of us in the state of Texas. So that's what we're focused on. And it's an exciting big day for all of us who are part of this campaign. And I'm grateful to you all for giving me a chance to talk with you and to connect with your listeners and viewers, and looking forward to seeing you all in person before too long.
Congressman, before we let you go, on yall-itics here, we have a beer all the time. We haven't been out to West Texas in a hot minute, but what are the local beers we should be trying out in West Texas and El Paso?
There are a few to choose from. I might commend you to Dead Beach Brewery. They've got a great IPA that I'm a big fan of. If you can get it on draft, that's probably the best way to do it. So I don't know if they're selling that in North Texas yet. If not, we welcome you to El Paso to try it here.
Okay, a road trip is on the books. We'll do this in person next time.
Congressman, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you both. Have a good one.